Okay, we'll continue with the module 3 which we are discussing. In the previous classes, we discussed about the combinational logic design, how we can do the designing of the combinational circuit using the different types of logic gates. Also, how we can do the designing using limited fan-in gates. Then we also discussed about what do you mean by gate delay or the propagation delay, and what is the effect of this propagation delay or gate delay on the functionality of the logic circuit or the logic gate in particular. Then we discussed about timing diagram, how we can draw the timing diagram of the combinational circuit with delay and without delay. And in the end, we discussed about different hazards that we get in the combinational logic circuit, like static hazard and dynamic hazard. And in detail, we discussed about static 0 hazard and static 1 hazard, how these hazards can be detected in the combinational circuit, and how the hazards can be eliminated by adding what are called as hazard covers. Like these all things we have discussed. So one more small part is left in the first section of this particular module, and that is what is, you can see it on the screen, that is simulation and testing of logic circuit. Once you design the logic circuit, how we can do the testing and simulation and testing of that particular logic circuit or the combinational circuit in brief we'll discuss before we enter into the second section of this particular module, where we are going to discuss about the different data processing circuits like multiplexer, demultiplexer, decoder, encoder, PLA, PAL, ROM, all these things we are going to discuss. So already at the beginning of this module, I have given you the definition of simulation. Can anybody define what do you mean by simulation and why simulation is required? Yes? What is simulation and why a simulation is required? Yes, anybody can tell me what do you mean by simulation? What exactly you mean by a simulation and why simulation is required in combinational circuit? Right? Can anybody tell me? See, no response from you people. Yes, already I have told you actually. Yes, why simulation is required and what is simulation? Can anybody tell me what is simulation? Right? In fact, it is there on the screen also. An important part of logic design process is verifying whether the final design is correct or whether any debugging is necessary in that particular circuit. You may be designing the circuit. After designing the circuit, a very important part of the logic design process is to verify whether the final design is correct or any debugging is necessary in that particular circuit. So logic circuit, you need to be tested before it is used, right? So the logic circuit may be tested either by actually building it, that is actual hardware can be set up and you can test the functionality of that particular circuit, or you can test that particular circuit by simulating that circuit on the computer. And normally simulation is preferred than the actual physical implementation. As you know that simulation of any given circuit on the computer is easier, faster and more economical, right? So instead of building that particular circuit physically, instead of developing the hardware for that circuit and then carrying out the testing, and if something goes wrong, the entire effort, the entire the process will be wasted. So instead of implementing it physically, first the testing is done virtually on a computer, and that process itself is called as a simulation. So simulating on computer is easy, it is faster and it is more economical, and that is the reason why first, after designing any combinational circuit, we should do the simulation, and that itself is the form of the testing. And once the simulation is done, then you can implement it in the hardware, and definitely once that is implemented in the hardware, it will expect as per the requirement or as per the design. Hence, simulation is done for several reasons, like verification of that design is whether the design is logically correct or not. You can verify your design whether it is logically correct or not. Second reason why simulation is done is you can verify the timing diagram of the logic circuit whether it is correct or not. Already you have discussed about the timing diagram. So whether we get the timing diagram as per our requirement or not, that also you can verify in the simulation. And also by doing the simulation, you can check, are there any faulty components in this circuit? Are there any faulty gates, or is there any faulty interconnection, or is there any other fault that exists in the circuit? All these errors or faults can be tested by using the simulation. Hence, simulation of a logic circuit is done before it is actually implemented on the hardware. So typical simulator uses normally switches or the input boxes to specify the input, and we use the probes to read the logic outputs. That is, probes are used at the output side, and the switches or the input boxes can be used at the input side, so that by using the switches or the input boxes, you can apply the different inputs, and then using the output probes, you can determine the outputs and check whether it is functioning as per your requirement or not, right? So the circuit description may be input into a simulator in the form of list of connections between the gates and other logic elements in the circuit, or it could be description in the form of a logic diagram drawn on the computer screen. Means you can test that logic circuit as it is by having the circuit drawn, or you can use some hardware description languages like HDL or Verilog, which we'll be discussing in the next part of this particular subject. So you can write the Verilog code or VHDL code, and you can do the testing or the simulation, or by drawing directly the logic diagram or the schematic, you can do the verification or simulation of the logic circuit. So how exactly simulation work, or how exactly a simple simulator work, that is shown here. You can see here the first point, what is given is the circuit inputs are applied to the first set of gates in the circuit, and the outputs of those gates are calculated. Your circuit may be having different levels. First, using the input switches or the boxes, input boxes, you need to apply certain inputs to the first set of gates. That is, first level, whatever gates you will be having, apply the inputs there, and then you check the outputs of those gates, right? Then the second point is the outputs of the gate which changed in the previous step, that is in the first step, are fed into the next level of gate inputs. Whatever the outputs of the first level out gates have changed, those are given as input to the next level of gate inputs. If the input to any gate had changed, then the output of that gate need to be calculated. So in the second step, whenever you are giving the output of the first stage, if any input to the second stage gates is changed, only those particular gates output you need to calculate. You need not calculate the other gates because you have not changed the inputs. So whatever the output those gates are having, they will be retaining that. So only those outputs you need to be calculated where the inputs are changed. Then this step 2, you have to repeat until no more changes in the gate inputs occur, or the circuit is then in a steady state condition, and easily you can read the outputs of that particular circuit. So these all the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3 are to be repeated every time whenever a circuit input changes. And that is obvious, when the circuit input changes, then only the output of the circuit may or may not change. Again, it depends on the input. So every time whenever input changes, you need to calculate the output. That is what is the process you need to carry out to do the simulation of any digital circuit. I hope these 4 steps are clear, how you need to do the simulation. First, you need to apply the inputs to the first set of gates and calculate its output. In the second step, what you need to do is the output of the gates in the first stage, you need to apply to the inputs of the gates in the second level, And if any input changes to these gates, you need to calculate the output of those gates. Then in the third step, you have to repeat step 2 until you reach the output and no more changes in the gate inputs occur. And all these steps 1, 2, 3 have to be repeated every time when there is a change in the input, and this process is called as the simulation. I hope it is clear. All of you understood what exactly you mean by simulation, how it is to be carried out. It will be more clear when we take the example. But all of you understood the process or the procedure? Is that clear? Yes, Seema, you understood? Yes? Whether you understood it or not? Aniket?
Yes, understood.
Understood. Good.
Yes, sir.
So how exactly the simulation
Yes, sir.
is to be done? Now I'll be explaining with the help of example. Normally, when we do the actual physical testing, we use only two logic values, that is 0 and 1. You all know that. Two logic values 0 and 1 we used everywhere. But when you want to carry out simulation, these two values 0 and 1 are not sufficient, because many a time you may not connect the input to either 0 or 1. It may be floating, right? And sometimes it may happen that the input may be connected to some unknown values. Hence, instead of using only two values 0 and 1, normally in the simulation we go for four different values, and those four different values are called as 0, 1, x and z. So 0 is nothing but logic 0, 1 is logic high, x is known as unknown value, because many times we will not be knowing what exactly input that particular circuit is having, then it is called as unknown. And it may happen that sometimes we may have no logic signal at an input, and as in this case the input may be open or it is floating. When the input is open or floating, or if it is not connected to anything, then we use the logic value Z to represent an open circuit, and this open circuit condition is called as high impedance condition, and it is denoted by Z. Hence, the four different values that we use in the simulation are logic 0, logic 1, X, that is unknown, and Z is high impedance. So how many values we are using? Four values. That is four valued function we are using: 0, 1, X, Z. 0 is as usual a logic 0 or low state, 1 is high state, X is unknown state, and Z is high impedance state. When you come across high impedance state, when the circuit, the input or output is not connected to anything, if it is floating, if it is open floating, then it is considered as high impedance state. And if you don't know the value, what value it is going to take, in that case it is called as X unknown, right? It's like don't care, X. So the four different values what we use here are called as 0, 1, X and Z, right? Next, how exactly the simulation is done? As I said, you can see it here. Input switches or boxes can be used. Input switches or boxes can be used. Just a minute, I will take some thing. Yes, you can see here there is one switch for this first input, and this switch can be connected either to logic 1 or to logic 0. Similarly, every input has two switches. You can see they can be connected either to 0 or 1. Here also it can be connected to 0 or 1, 0 or 1, or 0 or 1. These are called as the input switches. And whenever you want to read the output of a particular gate, those are called as probe. So this is called as a probe. This is called as a probe. This is called as a probe. And these are called as the input switches or the boxes. So whenever you want to carry out any simulation, you need to apply the inputs, that is either 0 or 1, right? So whenever, now you can see a switch, now this particular input is connected to this particular part, so its value is 1. The second input is connected to, you can see here 0, so this is 0. So the inputs to the gate 1 are 1 and 0. Similarly, input to the gate 2 are what? 1 and 1. because it is connected to 1. Here also it is connected to 1. So 1 and 1 are the inputs to this gate 2. So what will be the output of the gate 1 when you give input as 1 and 0? Gate 1 is which gate? Which is this gate?
AND gate.
AND gate. What are the inputs of these AND gates? 1 and 0. So what is the output? What output you will
Zero.
get here? 0. The input is 1 and 0. So it is 0. Similarly, what are the inputs to gate 2? 1 and 1.
1 and 1.
So what is the output you will get? 1.
1.
Right. So now these outputs, you can see intermediate outputs using probe. You use probe and you can see what is the output of the gate 1, what is the output of the gate 2. So output of gate 1 should be 0, output of gate 2 should be 1. Now these two outputs of gate 1 and 2 are given to gate 3. Which is the gate 3? Which is the gate 3 here?
OR gate.
OR gate. And what inputs you have given to the OR gate? Output of gate 1, that is 0 is given, output of gate 2, that is 1 is given. So finally you are going to get output as what? 1. Because first input is 0, second input is 1. Any one input to the OR gate is 1, its output is 1. Right? See, you can see here, simulation, the first example I have shown where the inputs are connected either to 0 and 1. Now what you can see in the second circuit? What are the inputs to the gate 1 again? This is
1
your
and 0.
gate 2, gate 3. What inputs we have connected to gate 1? 1 and
0.
0. So its output will be what? 0. What are the inputs to gate 2?
1 and Z.
Gate 2. Yes?
1 and Z.
1 and this
Z.
input is connected to 1. Where this input is connected? Second input. Second input is not connected to anything. It is floating. It is open. So it should be considered as what? Z. Is that clear? First input is connected to 1, but here the second input is not connected to anything. It is floating. So when the input is not connected, if it is open input should be considered as what? Z. That is high impedance state. I hope the meaning of high impedance state is clear. Because second input is not connected to either 1 or 0. It is floating. It is kept open. When the input is open, it is considered to be Z, that is high impedance state. So one input is 1, other input to the AND gate is floating. So what will be the output of this circuit? What is the output of this gate then? Gate 2. Yes? What output you are going to get to the gate 2? One of the input is 1, other input is floating. Not connected to anything, it is open. So what will be the output of that gate then? Obviously, you will not be knowing what is its output because the second input is what? High impedance, open. Hence, output of gate 2 is what now? Unknown. We will not able to determine what is the output of that gate 2. So the unknown output is denoted by what? Unknown output is denoted by X. Now what are the inputs to gate 3 again? The first input to the gate 3 is 0. Second input is unknown. We don't know what is the input. That is given as input to gate 3. So what will be the final output then? Obviously, the final output is, because if it is 1, if the first input would have 1, we would have got here output as 1. But since this is 0, the output of the gate 3 will be determined by this, and this itself is unknown. We don't know what is that. Hence, the output of the gate 3 also will be what? Unknown. So this is how we can make use of 4 different values in the simulation of logic circuit or digital circuit, that is 0, 1, X and Z. Right. So here I am showing one more example. One gate has no connection to the circuit. The same thing, the previous circuit what we have taken, which I have already explained to you, which is indicated by X in the probe. Right. Hence, normally we come across AND and OR functions. So how exactly AND and OR operations are done for this 4-valued function? That is what is explained here in this slide. This is very important slide. You can see here how the AND and OR functions for this 4-valued simulation is done. Right? So I guess the first truth table or the function table, whatever you can call, is visible here. All of you able to see this now? Yes? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what you can see here is I have mentioned the 4 values. What are the 4 values? 0, 1, x and z. Similarly, those 4 values are written here 0, 1, x, z. Now we have to take the AND operation of these 4 values and we have to complete this table. 0, this is first one, 0 and 0 is what? You have to write it in the first row, first column element. 0 and 0 is what? 0. So what you have to do is to get this particular row, you have to take AND operation of this 0 with each of these 4 values here. So 0 and 0 is what? 0. Similarly, 0 and 1, 0, 0 and x is 0, 0 and z is 0. That means if you AND any value that is 0, 1, x, z with 0, what you are going to get? What you are going to get? 0. Is that clear? AND operation. You are ANDing anything ANDed with 0 is 0. Whether it is you are ANDing with 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 0 and x, 0 and z, all will give you output as 0 because one of the input to the AND gate is 0, irrespective of the other input, always it gives you output as 0. Similarly, now you have to take the AND operation with 1. So what is 1 and 0? That is written here. What is it? 1 and 0 is 0. Then 1 and 1 is what? 1. Then 1 and x is what? X. And similarly, 1 and z is x. Right? So one important thing that you can observe, in fact, in both these tables, AND gate and OR gate, your input may be z, but output will never be z. Can anybody tell me what is the reason? Why the output is never z? I have not shown output z anywhere. What could be the reason? Yes? Because Z is what? Open, high impedance state. Right? If you are not connecting input to anything, we consider it as a Z. Right? But when you are not considering anything as an input, obviously the output will be always unknown in that case. The output can be X. So no chance of getting Z as the output. And that's what you can see from both the tables here shown for the AND gate and the OR gate. So 0 and 0 is 0, or 1 and 0 is 0, right? 1 and 1 is 1. But if you take the AND operation of either 0 or 1 with respect to x, it will be x. And if you take the AND operation of 0 and 1 with respect to z, then also it is x. Z and z is also x, x and x is also x. That's what you have to remember here, right? And x and 1 is x, then x and 0 is 0. X and 0 is not x, that you should remember, because any of the input to the AND gate is 0, its output is 0. Whatever may be, whether it is unknown or known value, if one input to the AND gate is x, 0, its output will be always 0. That is how this truth table is constructed. I hope it is clear. All of you understood this? Right? Simple, like AND operation of 0 and 0, 0 and 1, 0 and x, 0 and z, 1 and 0, 1 and 1, 1x, 1z, x0, x1, xx, xz, z0, z1, zx, zz. These are the values written for the AND gate. Similarly, here the OR operation is performed. You can see here the OR operation is performed. 0 or 0 is 0, 0 or 1 is 1. If you OR anything with 1, always its output is 1. That is the property of the OR gate. If one of the input to the OR gate is 1, irrespective of other value is whether it is known value, unknown value, high impedance value, always it will give you output as 1. Whereas if both the inputs are 0, then only the output is 0. And if x and 0 is x, x and 1 is also 1. And x and x is x, x and z is x, z and x is x, and z and z is also x. So this is how you need to compute the values when you are going to do the simulation of the digital circuit. Is that clear? All of you understood these two tables for AND gate and OR gate? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you understood this, now very easily you can determine what are the outputs for the particular circuit. So before that, what are the reasons or what are the possible causes for a wrong output that you get in the circuit is listed here in this slide. You can go through that. If a circuit output is wrong for some set of input values, what are the possible reasons or what are the possible causes, right? The first thing is you have given the inputs, but you are not getting the expected output. So what are the possible reasons for that? The first important reason could be what? Your design itself is incorrect. You have done the design, you are giving the input, but you are getting wrong output. So the first reason could be what? Your entire design itself is wrong. That is the first thing. Then what is the second thing? Your design may be correct, but the gates what you have connected are wrong. Instead of using an AND gate, you might have used an OR gate, or instead of using OR gate, you might have used an OR gate, right? That could be the second reason. First one is your entire design is wrong. Second one is your design is correct, but you have used wrong gates. And then you might have used wrong input signals to the circuit if the circuit is built in an lab, right? That means physically you are implementing the circuit and you have given the wrong input signals to the circuit. That could also be the reason to get the wrong output. Or your design is correct, you are using a correct gates, you have done interconnection properly, but that gate itself is having some error. The gate is a defective one. Then also you may get the wrong results. And lastly, everything is fine, but the wires what you have used to connect the different gates, interconnection of gates, if they are faulty, if they are defective, you could get the wrong results. So these are the 5 different possible reasons that we can have to get the wrong output, right? You have done the design, and if you are given the input and if you are getting the wrong output, so what are the possible causes that are mentioned here? Incorrect design, wrong gates connection, wrong input signal, defective gates, or defective connecting wires. These are the reasons for possible causes for getting the error in the output, right? Now, how to do the troubleshooting here? Like how we can determine where the fault is. The process of finding the error in the process of finding the fault in the digital circuit is called as troubleshoot. Like in your programming language, what you call debugging. Debugging of code is equivalent to troubleshooting the circuit, electronic circuit, whether it is analog or digital. So process of finding a fault in the digital circuit is called as troubleshooting. Like the process of finding the errors in your code is called as debugging. Here it is called as troubleshoot. So we can use interchangeably these words, either troubleshooting or debugging. Fine. So if the output gate has the wrong output and its inputs are correct, then what could be the reason? Can you tell me? The output gate has a wrong output, right? But the inputs given are correct. So what could be the reason here to get the wrong output? Are you getting my question, all of you? You have a gate and the output of that gate is wrong, though you have given the correct input. So what this indicates? This indicates what? Yes? All of you getting my question? You have a logic gate, right? You have given correct inputs to it, but you are getting wrong output. What could be the reason of getting the wrong output? Yes? It is there. The answer I have written in this slide. That shows how attentive you people are. Yes? What could be the reason here? Why you are getting wrong output, though the inputs are correct? What this
Wrong
indicates?
gate. Defective gate.
Defective gate means what? There is some problem in the gate itself. The gate is bad. It is not working, right? You have given correct inputs, but you are not getting correct output. That indicates that the gate is defective. Like this is very important, because when you do the troubleshoot, you should know this. When you are doing the troubleshooting and if you are taking a particular gate, you have given the input and if its output is not correct, the reason could be what? The gate is defective, right? The second reason could be what? If one of the inputs is wrong, then either the gate is connected wrong, or the gate driving the input has the wrong output, or the input connection is defective. That means it could be other way, like the gate is faulty, fine, or one of the input is wrong, or it may happen that the gate is connected wrong, or the gate driving the input has wrong output. Like when you are connecting the output of one gate to the next, it may be wrong output you are connecting, or the input connection itself is defective. So these things you have to keep in mind when you are doing the troubleshooting of the digital circuit, right? So here I have given you one function, the function f equal to a b c bar d plus c d bar plus a bar b bar into c plus d is realized by the circuit, right? So the circuit diagram is also drawn there, right? Now for a equal to b equal to c equal to d equal to 1, what could be the output? The output f equal to 1 has the wrong value, right? Now you have to determine what are the reasons for this. Are you getting? Sorry, this is the circuit you are having, and here there are 4 inputs A, B, C, D, and these 4 inputs are given A equal to B equal to C equal to D equal to 1. So what output you should get if A, B, C, D are 1, right? If A, B, C, D are 1, what should be the output? So you can see here C bar and D is there, so bar means it is 0, so this output is 0. Here also bar is there, means this will be permanently 0. Then C and D we are given 1, means this is 1, and this 0 and this 0 we have given to gate 3. So gate 3 should be what? C bar, that is 0 and 1 is 0, right? 0 and 0, here it should be 0 actually, right? And then C and D are 1, it should be 1. Now A and B are 1, 1, but this is 0, this should be 0. And then this is 0, 0, and this is 1, so this should be 0. And both are 0, 0, so finally I should get 0. Is that clear? For the given inputs A, B, C, D equal to 1, 1, I need to get the output as 0. But suppose if this circuit is showing you output as 1, how you are going to do the troubleshooting of this? Because there is an error. Are you getting in the question? For A, B, C, D equal to 1, you should suppose to get output F as 0. But this circuit is giving you output as 1. That means there is an error in this particular circuit, or there is a fault in this circuit. So how you are going to identify where the fault lies? Like, so what you should do to identify that particular fault? So you can see here is, now we have given the gate number, so you should always start from the output. The debugging or the troubleshooting, you should start from the output. What is the output of the gate number 7 you should have? Here I have shown the different gate numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So actual output of the gate number 7 should be what?
0.
0.
0. But what it is showing you?
1.
1. That means where the fault lies? Where the fault lies? You have to identify where the fault. Like you are doing the debugging of your code. So same thing here, troubleshooting of this circuit. Output of the gate number 7 should be 0, but you are getting 1. That means the gate number 7 output is at fault. Is that clear? Output of gate number 7 is at fault. That's what you can see here. The output of gate 7 is wrong. But this wrong output, now you have to determine why it is wrong. What is the reason? But this wrong output is consistent with the inputs to the gate 7, that is 1 or 0. They have given the inputs. See here they have given 1, like output of the gate 5 they have given 1. Actually here they have given 1, output of the gate 7 is 1, which is supposed to be 0. There is a fault here. But this fault is consistent with the inputs. Here what is the input to the gate number 7? 1 and 0. Is that clear? Gate number 7 inputs are what? 1 and 0. So what output gate number 7 should give? For the inputs shown 1 and 0, the gate number 7 should give what?
1.
It should give
1.
1. That means what we can say is, though there is an error in the output, we can say that gate 7 is not faulty. Because here you have given the inputs as 1 and 0. Accordingly, it has produced the output. So earlier our assumption was that output of gate 7 was faulty. But since the input given to the gate 7 are 1 and 0, it is not faulty. Therefore, one of the inputs to gate 7 must be wrong. Are you getting what is the meaning of this sentence? Actually, we started with the gate number 7 output. The gate number 7 output was 1. So we thought that there is an error in the output of gate 7. But when we saw the inputs to that gate, they are 1 and 0. So obviously, then there is no problem with the gate number 7, because for 1 and 0, it will give you output as 1. Now, where the problem is then? Are you getting it? Earlier, initially, we started with saying that there is a fault at the gate number 7 because it has given the wrong output. But what inputs we have shown there in the circuit, as per that, it has provided the correct output. That means there is no problem with the output of this gate number 7. Then where the problem is? Where the problem is, one of the two inputs to the gate 7 should be at fault. They should be wrong. Either the output of gate 5 should be wrong or the output of gate 6 should be wrong. Now, how do we check which of the two inputs of the gate number 7 are wrong? It is like troubleshooting, debugging, right? In order for gate 7 to have the correct output f equal to 0, what we need? Both inputs must be 0. The gate number 7 should have both the inputs 0. Therefore, the output of gate 5 is wrong here. We have identified here, right? As per the given inputs, it has given output as 1. So there is no problem with the output. Now, problem with one of the inputs of the gate number 7, right? If you want to get 0 as the output from the gate number 7, both the inputs of the gate number 7 should be 0. But here you can see that one of the input to the gate number 7 is 1. Which is that input? The output of gate number 5, which indicates that the output of gate number 5 is at wrong or it is at fault. The output of gate 5 is wrong, right, as per this. Now go to the gate number 5. Now gate number 5 has given you what output? Gate number 5 has given you output as 1, but there actually we need to have 0, right? The output of gate 5 is consistent with the values shown there, because they have shown output of gate 3 is 1 and A and B are also 1. So definitely the output of gate 5 has to be 1. That means again we can't say that the output of gate 5 is at fault. You are getting this point. Actually output of gate 5 has to be 0, but it is 1, and that is 1 because of the inputs that we have for the gate 5. What are the inputs we have for the gate 5? Output of gate 3, that is 1 they have shown, and A, B are both 1. So all the three inputs are 1. Therefore, as per this, the output of gate 5 has to be 1 according to these inputs. So it indicates that output of gate 5 is correct. There is no problem with the output of gate 5. Then where is the problem again? Then the problem is one of the three inputs to the gate 5 should be wrong. So now A and B directly we have connected. There is no possibility of anything wrong there. So obviously the output of gate 3, which is 1, that is wrong. If it has to be 0, then only the output of gate 5 will become 1. So from this, what we can conclude is output of gate 3 is wrong. Now again you have to determine whether the output of gate 3 is wrong or not. This process you have to repeat, right? Now what should be the output of gate 3? The output of gate 3 is not consistent, you can see here, because input to the gate 3 both are what? 0, 0, and the output of the gate 3 should also be 0, but here the output of gate 3 is 1, which is not consistent, and that's where we have detected the fault. And where the fault is? Where the fault is now? The fault is
Gate
not
3.
at the output of gate 7, not at the output of gate 5, but the fault is at the output of what? Yes?
Gate 3.
Gate 3. So what we can see here is, we can conclude that gate 3 is defective. Why? Why gate 3 is defective? Because inputs to the gate 3 both are 0, 0. We have to get output as 0, and if you get the output of gate 3 as 0, automatically we will get the output of gate 5 as 0, and which in turn will get the output of gate 7 as also 0. and we will get the correct output for the function f. So in this way, we have done the troubleshooting of this particular circuit, and from this, we have seen that the gate 3 is defective. This process is called as what? What this process is called as? Troubleshooting. This process is called as troubleshooting of the logic circuit. I hope it is clear. All of you understood that? How exactly troubleshooting is done? Right. So I want you people to tell me what should be the output of one circuit that I will be showing to you now. I'll show one circuit here. You have to tell me what are the values of this particular circuit at the different points. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. That's what I'm going to show you, one circuit, right? Can you tell me what are the values of this? Is the circuit visible? Are you able to see one circuit there on the screen? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
To give the response also, you people take so much of time. That shows how interested you people are in these classes. Right? Very good. Anyhow, this is the circuit we have. Using 4-valued logic, you have to tell me what are the values for the different signals shown there, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Right? Here, the input A is connected to 1, and these two inputs, what they have given here is they are what? What is this?
Not connected.
No connection means what? You should consider they are open. They are open means what? What value you should consider out of 4 values? 0, 1, X, Z?
Z.
Z.
Okay.
Z.
So one by one, you have to tell me what are the values. So tell me what is the value for A?
1.
A is 1. Then what is the value for B?
Z.
Z. Good. What is the value for C?
1.
What is the value for C? C is the
1.
output of gate and gate, whose
X.
one input is 1,
X.
another input is Z. So what should be C?
X.
That's what those two tables
X.
which I have given to you, AND table and OR table, are important. What are the inputs to this AND gate? 1 and Z. So what should be the output C then? C is
X.
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 C is X. Good. Then what is D?
1.
1.
D
1.
is 1. Why 1? What are the inputs to that gate? 1 and Z. Inputs are 1 and Z, but it is a OR gate. So OR gate, if one input is 1, irrespective of other, D will be 1. Okay. Then what is E? What is C?
X bar.
X naught. I mean X bar.
C is X.
X bar.
C is X. So what is E?
X bar.
X bar.
You are not supposed to write X bar or Z bar here. What is X? What do you mean by X? X is not a variable here.
Unknown.
X is the value.
Unknown.
X is unknown value. If it is an unknown value, if you have given it as an input to the NOT gate, what is the output? Output also will be
Unknown.
unknown only. So you should write E as what?
X.
X.
X only, not X bar. Similarly, what is F?
0.
0.
0, because D is 1, so F is 0. Then what is G? What is G? Two inputs are what? 0 and X are the inputs. So what is G
0.
then?
0.
G is 0 because one input is 0, another input is X, so G will be 0. And what is H? Finally, what is H? 0 and X is given.
X.
X.
So output H will be X. So this is how you need to find the values. You can see here A equal to 1, B equal to Z, C equal to X, D equal to 1, E equal to X, F equal to 0, G equal to 0, H equal to X. This is what value you are going to get. Though it looks very simple, sometimes you may get this question. They will give one circuit and they will ask you to find the values of the different signals present in this circuit. You should be able to do this. I hope it is clear. All of you understood this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. One more example is there. You can see here. Using 4-valued logic, find the values of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Here, This is not connected, no connection. B is connected to 0, E is no connection. So again, the same procedure you should use, and you can write what are the values A, B, C, D, E. What is A here? No connection means Z. B is connected to what? 0.
0.
What is C? C is not of Z. Z is unknown. If unknown is there at the input of any gate, what should be the output?
Unknown.
Z is no connection. The output will be unknown. That is X. C should be X. Then D is what? 1 is 0. So automatically it will become 0 irrespective of A. A is no connection, but B is 0. So D becomes 0. Right? Similarly, E is no connection means Z. Then F. F is what? This is 0. D is 0. B is 0. 2 are 0. And this is X. So what should be F then? 0, 0 and X. So you will get F as 0. Right? Or X.
X.
F should be X here actually.
X.
Right? That is not 0 because these two are 0 and this is unknown X. Whatever that unknown, this is also unknown because we don't know. We can't write it as 0. Right? Similarly, G will be what? No connection. That is Z and this is 0. 0 means G is 0. Then 0 and unknown for this gate, NOR gate it is. Right? G is 0. Anything 0 and unknown to the NOR gate and a complement of that. So you will get it as 0. This is how you need to find the values. Right? Then this is what I already explained to you. Realize the function f equal to this. I have explained it in that slide. And I have told how to do the debugging or troubleshooting of this circuit. You should start from the output till you reach the input. Right? So with this, we are closing the discussion on the first section of this module 3. In the second section, we need to study different data processing circuit. There, one thing you should know, what do you mean by integrated circuit? Anybody define what is integrated circuit and what are the types of integrated circuit? Yes? Do you know what is an integrated circuit and what are the different types of integrated circuit? So integrated circuit is nothing but the different, or you can say millions of components or transistors are fabricated on a piece of silicon wafer, and it can be used for a specific function. And these integrated circuits can be classified into 4 different types, like small scale integration SSI, then medium scale integration MSI, large scale integration LSI, and very large scale integration, that is VLSI. So depending on how many gates are there, these integrated circuits are classified into 4 different types: small scale integrated circuit, medium scale integrated circuit, large scale integrated circuit, and very large scale integrated circuit, that is SSI, MSI, LSI, and VLSI circuits. Right? So in the next class, we'll be starting with the data processing circuit, and there for these data processing circuits are available in the integrated circuit form, and how those integrated circuits can be used to construct the different combinational or logic circuits. That's what we are going to discuss in the remaining part of this particular module 3. So with this, we'll be closing today's class. If you have any queries, doubts, you can ask before we end today's class. So what we learned today is what exactly you mean by simulation and testing of logic circuits, and what are the 4 valued simulation is done 0, 1, X, Z, and how we can do the troubleshooting of the circuit. Those all things we have discussed in this particular today's class. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, if there are no doubts, then we can close the today's class. In the next class, we'll start with the data processing circuit, and the first data processing circuit what we'll be studying is the multiplexer. Already you have studied this multiplexer in your earlier course, that is in basic electronics. in detail, we'll be going to study what exactly multiplexer is, what are the different types of multiplexer, how multiplexer can be designed using gates, and how higher order multiplexer can be constructed using lower order multiplexer, and how multiplexer can be used as a universal circuit to implement any logic expression or Boolean expression. Okay.